Hello and welcome. Welcome from a very hot southwest of England. We're experiencing a bit of a heat wave here, which is a bit unusual for us in England. So it's very hot. Probably not relatively hot compared to some of you. But anyway, welcome. It is week 2 of the June and July adventure for Doodle Club, which is really exciting. We're going to be doing what I call a lucky dip. I think that we can get a little bit bogged down with the idea that we need to have really good equipment. We have to have lovely new paints and brushes and pencils and all of this kind of stuff. And in today's lesson, tutorial, as my art students, you are going to have some fun with mark making and layering and all sorts of things like that as part of the June adventure. Now, I have a download for you. It's free, it's in the description. Just help yourself to it and you can completely ignore it if you want to. But I've just done something for each week that you might like to join in with. So, are you ready? Let's go. Well, I do hope that you are well. Now, those of you who have been following me for some time will know that I love to use the materials that we find lying around, and we don't need to spend an awful lot of money, especially when we're kind of experimenting and trying things out and having that kind of what if. And for week 2 of the June and July adventure, this is exactly what we're doing. So I'm going to be using ready mix paint. These I think were £1 each. I'm just using black and white. I've also got a bit of leftover paint from something that I was doing a couple of days ago, so I'm going to use that. Toothbrush, bit of cardboard, wooden spoon, scrunched up paper, a stick, a ballpoint pen, anything really. And that is the whole point, is you have a whole collection of things. And I'm going to be working in one of my little junk journals. There's all sorts of stuff in here. It's a lot of it is very messy, a bit experimental. Well, it's all experimental, to be honest. Let's just turn to this page. And when I'm with my students, and especially when I was teaching in college, and when I do workshops in college, it's very much this idea that the mark you make is the correct mark. And this exercise, and it's a bit like a kind of a warming up exercise when you're dancing or going to the gym. You have to kind of warm up, and this helps. Blank sheet can be really intimidating, can't it? But what happens when we just allow ourselves to be like young children again, making those marks across the page with just a bit of joy, and see what happens. See what happens when we dab, see what happens when we scrape. And you're not like looking for something beautiful or profound. You're just enjoying the process, as I talk about all the time. And it is such a good way to start an art session, because we get rid of all the fear, because we're just having fun. And when I do this with my students, I kind of say, okay, who can make the biggest mess in the shortest space of time? And that's always just fun, isn't it? Because it's like, I am allowing you to make a mess. Put some paint on it. What happens if we scrape into that? Now that's quite interesting, isn't it? Look at that. And see, then what we do, once we kind of have a bit of a play, we begin to learn what these sorts of textures, how we create these textures, and then we can then use them in a painting, in our journals, in a developed piece. So you might be like doing like an urban painting, and you think, right, how could I create that kind of lovely grungy texture for the background? Well, you can have a little play, can't you? You can try it out. It's just a kebab stick. It's quite good. It's quite fun. So this is our first thing. We are just playing with marks. Now, and think about what else you could use to make different marks. Torn up bits of cardboard. I do love a bit of torn up cardboard, actually. Get some very nice textures. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on another sheet of paper while I leave that one to dry, and then I can put the sheet of paper that I use into the book. And I'm just going to use a bit of scrunched up paper from a magazine. I'm just going to put some paint over the paper. And this is why I kind of call it a lucky dip, because I've got a whole load of things that I could use just scattered around me, and I'm not thinking about it too much. I'm just seeing what happens. So if I scrape some white paint over the top like this, and then I get my little cotton bud, what happens if I do this? That's quite interesting, isn't it? Making these funny little marks. So that's just dabbing with the cotton. Just seeing what happens there. Let's just grab another sheet of paper. Again, just scraps. I quite like it when they're scrunched up, because you're going to get marks in the paper already. Again, just using this cotton. I'm sticking to black and white for the moment, although I have got that little bit of blue that was left over. I don't like wasting anything. I think you are probably the same from the messages and comments that I get. Oh, I love reading your comments. Thank you so much for taking time to do that. It's just so lovely. Thank you. Just putting those in. Yeah, different marks, different ways of making a mess. I'm going to leave that to dry, because I'm then going to tear that to create some collage papers. So I've just got some copier paper. It's quite thin. I've got a cardboard tube, a bit of tissue, some more cardboard. Carrying on with black and white for this demonstration, but of course you could use whatever colours you want. You know, you could go totally neon if you want to. Just using the toothbrush here, making the marks across the page. Now, I do workshops and all sorts of stuff, creative writing as well, but with one of the groups that I have some of my students have certain physical disabilities. Some have very severe arthritis and really struggle with their fine motor skills. And when we do mark making, I can see the kind of the freedom that they experience, because when we do marks, we might not be able to do fine details anymore, but we can still make marks, and these marks can turn into something really beautiful and very, very exciting. So I put that paint on there. This is just the poster paint still. So the ready mix tissue. See the different texture you can get with the tissue. Look at that. So if you're doing like a storm background, that would be lovely. That could work really, really well. Now I've got quite a bit of paint on this tissue now, So I'm just going to move this one to one side, grab this other piece. Again, this is just copier paper. Look at that. Look at the patterns you can get. The bit of tissue. Now, for those of you who like kind of realistic things, what if you did this in sort of oranges or yellows and then turn these into floral pieces? As always, with all of my tutorials, what I aim to do is to give you some techniques, teach you the skills, and then get you to do whatever you like with them. And that is what I love. And that's what I love about our Facebook group. Oh my goodness. It's just such a joyous, happy place. And people share what they've been doing. And it, for like the challenges and the adventures that I do, you all have the same prompt. And then you all do something completely different. And I love that. I absolutely love it. You know, that for me is what being an art teacher is about. It's about me giving you some ideas and some skills, and then you go off and practice, and then you do your own thing. I love that. I just love it. So I'm going to leave these two pieces to dry. The piece in my sketchbook is dry, and we're going to go back to that now. Having said that, it's not completely dry, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Now, the other thing that I'd quite like to do is some drips. So I've got this little bottle here, and I've got some fluorescent. I knew I couldn't resist it, really. And what I'm going to do is to just do some more marks through dripping. Now, in here is acrylic paint mixed with water, so it is quite runny, and this will take, you know, several hours to completely dry. But before it dries, I'm just going to do a few little marks in it with my stick. I did want to show you, and again, I liked the grey background, and now I'm just going to leave some of the blobs, but just do some marks in them like this. So I think that's quite fun, isn't it? But because the paint is very wet, so it will take a while to dry. Although because we are having a bit of a heat wave here, perhaps it won't take quite as long as I think. But I like fluorescent colours on grey. I think it works really, really well. I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm going to go back to the other pieces and tear them up a little bit, and let's see what happens. So, these are all dry now. They didn't take very long. I don't want to have the edges, so I'm just going to get a ruler and just take the white bits off, really. Now, quite often I will just go completely to the edge when I'm doing these kind of things, but I didn't on that one. But see, what I want to have is just all of the paint like this. I'll do the same with this one as well. And then now I'm just going to tear it, not using the ruler, because I want to have this sort of edge as well. And I like these sort of jaggedy pieces. And again, when we tear paper, we're never quite sure how it's going to turn out, and that is what I really like. And I'm going to create some layers in the last page of this sketchbook, actually. I'll start to just sort of lay them out. I'll just bring the camera up a little bit. This book is a little bit bigger. Here we go. I'm just going to use a glue stick to stick them down. Let's just do this one as well. Let's just trim up this edge. This is why I like using copier paper, because it's thin, so it makes very good collage paper. So you don't want the paper to be too thick. But it's a very good idea to try out different sorts of paper, because you might find that you prefer one to another. And unless we allow ourselves to experiment and try things out, then we don't know, do we? I had a lovely class this week. I've been quite busy this week. So I had my art classes, and once a month I take my little ones. Oh my goodness, they're just adorable. The youngest of 4 years old. Oh, just amazing. And then the older ones are in their early teens. Just wonderful. And then I have my adult classes as well. And because the weather was very warm this week, so obviously we're all complaining about the weather, as we do in England all the time. But it was really nice because it was one of those kind of experimental days, and we were just trying out different things, and it's just like allowing ourselves to play with some ideas. It was really, really good. I've got this one as well. That's 10. Oh, this is really old paper, and you can see it's just gone yellow. This is from an old book that had water damage, so it was going to be thrown away. Oh, perfect for collage. So I'm going to layer these up, and then I'm going to do some mark making on the top. So I've stuck these across a double page in my sketchbook, liking that. And I'm now going to use my toilet roll and my tissue. I'm going to get a different tissue, I think. So I'm going to be using some of the blue that I'd had left over. It's just going to stick. Cardboard makes absolutely brilliant mark making tool. And I'm liking these, just to create some fun circles. Oh dear, I'm still a little bit croaky. There we go. If you haven't liked yet, and you've got this far, that would be really nice. It makes a big difference. It helps my channel to grow and to reach other people who might like what I do. So that would be really nice if you haven't liked yet. And if, like I said before, if you want to write a comment, that would be lovely. Always love hearing from you. And it's so nice because this community is all over the world. It's quite extraordinary and quite wonderful. So again, I've put in some marks here, just rolling that over the surface, making a mess, of course. Actually, I think I want to have some black circles. So pop that in there. Oh, look at that. That's fun, isn't it? Again, it's just, you could use these techniques in your art journals. You could use the spaces to write little poems, prayers, your kind of favourite quotes, you know, that kind of thing. That's really, really nice. And you know, if you were to do this with completely different colours, it would look very different. And again, this is why I love teaching different techniques, because you can then do your own thing. And hopefully it will just sort of trigger something else in you, and you think, oh, yeah, I could do that. What if I did that? And while you're doing these sort of marks, you can be thinking like that. And I've just had a thought that I could use some of these, I could use some watercolour and colour in some of these circles. And so I think I'm going to do that next. So I did have a lovely comment the other week just sort of asking me. She said that she really loved the tutorial. It was brilliant. And then she just asked whether I planned my lessons or whether they were just completely spontaneous, which was just a lovely thing to say, because they are planned, but I'm never quite sure what's going to happen because I do things in real time. And that's why I kind of show you my mistakes, which is what I've done in previous tutorials where things have gone a little bit wrong. And because that's what happens when we are creating, we make mistakes, things don't go quite as we thought they might, and all sorts of things might happen. So I getting towards the end. Look at the state of this paint. I love this paint, actually. It's so gorgeous and I use it a lot, and I'm coming to the end of this one. I'll put a link below to the things that I use, but like I say all the time, use what you have. But if you do want some really vibrant watercolours, these are really good and they're very inexpensive. Obviously the black isn't dry, so that's why that's leaked out of there. But quite like that. And okay, so what if I then go into some of the background? And I am thinking that in some of these spaces I want to write some words. So I'm sort of thinking about words I could use. And for those of you who love to do art journaling, you could use this technique, leave some more space and write your thoughts, your poems, that kind of thing. And don't worry if it all goes a bit messy. Everything has to go through a messy stage anyway. And it might be that actually that's fine. You're going to keep the mess. Embrace the mess. Because again, that is another fear, isn't it? That we fear making a mess. And when I teach my little ones, and my young teens as well, I really stress to them that it doesn't matter if they make a mess. It really doesn't. They are allowed to make a mess. We do have to clear it all up afterwards, obviously. So I'm just putting in some block colours. But what if I then used my paintbrush with the watercolours to make marks? What if we just make some marks with the brush? I did this in the other tutorial in week 1 where we were just doing scribbles. If you haven't checked out that one, you might like to do that. So this is all part of the June and July adventure. You might not be watching this in June and July of 2025, but that's okay. I'm going to add some orange. Let's see what happens if I add orange. So when we allow ourselves to experiment and not worry about the mistakes or the mess, I'm going to pick up a bit of that black because that's still there. We can really start to just be a little bit more creative. Now this is looking very messy, but I actually quite like it. And I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm going to go back to the other one just as we finish off, and then right at the end I'll show you what else I've done. So as I said, these techniques can be used in so many different ways. So I thought I would show you a couple of things that I've done in the past using these techniques. And this is a little concertina book that I made from scrap paper. It's a proper junk journal. And I've just added bits to it. Now I've used collage. All of these been using some of the techniques that we've just been doing, and I've also done a bit of stencils as well, just cutting them out, lots of different colours to see what might happen. Again, it's just playing with an idea, and again, just to give you some thoughts of what you could do. Now, in my larger book, so I'll just see, with this concertina book, it's really nice because you just switch it over, and then you've got another one. If you want to learn how to make one of these, I have got a full tutorial, because it's so easy. It's so easy to do, and I make loads of them because they're fun. This is a conventional hardback book. Collage papers with mark making, dabs, using toothbrush, using little cotton buds and tissues and scraping and all of that kind of stuff. Again, I've put in these, and then I've used a fine liner to create patterns. See a little bit more here. These are my smaller collage experiments. Again, I have quite a few tutorials on playing with collage and making collage, but I just wanted to show you this page as well, because it's just a playful, having fun page really, where I've dripped all the water. I've dripped the paint onto watercolour pieces. So I did watercolour first and then dripped the paint over the top. And all of these build up like a catalogue that I might use in the future. And then the last one I wanted to show you was this one, just to show that it's not all abstract. So the background is the mark making and the collage, and then the flowers in the vase using acrylic pens. And again, it just gives a different sort of feel. So this was towards the end of my book, and this is the last one here. And I am actually really liking the colour combination and the texture of this. So I think I'm going to develop this for a future project. And then of course I still have this one, which will take a little while longer to dry, and I will show you that perhaps in a future tutorial. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, that you've got lots of ideas. I know I say that every time. And thank you so much for those of you who regularly put in your comments. It's just wonderful. And if you haven't been brave enough yet to write a comment, just tell me what the weather's doing where you are. and if you haven't joined the Facebook group and you'd like to do that, then the link is below. Please answer the questions and agree to the group rules, so that I know that you are a real person. And if you want to see some more, look at this one, because I think you will enjoy it. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.